Shabbat Shalom, y'all. We're here for our weekend reflection message where we're just like kind of rounding out the week's lessons. And so from the Radiant Sun Oracle, we've got extremism, which is Mercury in Scorpio, followed by Venus in Aries, which is lust, followed by Mercury in Libra, which is influence, and then underneath extremism, we've got Eight of Wands, underneath lust, we've got Seven of Cups, and underneath influence, we've got the Chariot. So I think this is really interesting. It's like all week long, we've been sort of like, it's almost as if we've been sitting before the committee and they're taking a look at our records from our efforts as a scholastic pioneer in the institution of Soul School. And they're like, okay, we see that the work that you've done here, this is really good. And so your like desire and determination to delve deeper into life's mysteries have allowed you to finally be like at the point where you can start progressing forward, and then that progress is going to gain momentum, and all of a sudden there's going to be fast movement and things can start coming into fruition quickly. It's been the ongoing lesson of the week, and I'll go back and read these Radiant Sun Oracle cards just like and point out some of the references of the other cards through the week. But I think it's just really interesting that this card, it looks like on the surface it seems like, you know, someone's like shoving their viewpoints down someone's face, or like they're arguing about something, and that is true. But the message of this card is like taking a look to see like what life's mysteries are all about, and how your experiences have served you, and what it's all been for, and what it's all meant. And so it kind of like is a going back and a retrograding and a review of your life's philosophy up until now and how things are going. And so that's exactly where we've been as a collective, where our attention has been in this moment of rounding out this first part of our life, where an era is coming into completion and we're beginning a new era very soon. But we're kind of in this state of pause where, yeah, we're sitting before our teachers and our professors and our spirit guides and our advisors, and they're evaluating our thesis or dissertation or whatever you do in higher learning. I'm trash. I just did the regular learning. So now that we've arrived at this level of, okay, we've gone through the challenges that we had to navigate through life before we could really find success and fulfillment, right? Because when we find success and fulfillment, sometimes we don't have the desire or the motivation to keep doing the work. We become complacent. So we have armed ourselves sufficiently for the next leg of the journey, and it's safe to start moving forward. So communication is going to start coming in, opportunities, maybe even travel. Who knows? This card often does involve travel. This is Eight of Wands, so this is lots of communication. This is the Mercury card of movement, travel, back and forth, media, the like social media, you know, connection, like exchanging ideas. So, you know, you might be in a position where your life has taught you something that is culminating in your life's work and purpose, and now you're prepared to like talk about these things, or you've become an expert, you've arrived at a certain level of expertise, and so it's like you're ready now to release this next thing that you have cooking up. Okay, I don't know, everybody's got something different, but something about that. For me, the example would be like my channel finally going viral, like because I found my identity, I found my voice, I found my own connection and my own insights. And so I'm prepared, for that possibly to happen, and be able to understand that it's like a vocation that requires my long-term efforts. It's not like a one and done. So I think that like that is the maturity level it would require to have success in something like that, like a going viral moment, and then being able to make something of it and like follow up on the opportunity. Like a lot of people go on, say, American Idol or The Voice or like America's Got Talent, and they have this moment where it's like a flash in the pan, but they don't know how to like capitalize on the attention and the publicity they're getting in that moment. And so it's like they have this 15 minutes of fame, and then it passes them by, and they don't know how to like set their hooks in and like get those opportunities that'll pave the way for like long-term career opportunities, and the events to follow. So being prepared for something to take off, something to happen, something to come into fruition. One of the things that this card is also talking about is that in this like evaluation of our life and like what it's all meant, it's like we've finally been able to overcome our tendency to make reactive and impulsive choices. We've got lust here with 7 of Cups. So there's a tendency here to be a creative, passionate, romantic individual who maybe was indecisive because they were looking for that fantasy, right, to deliver. And it was like something that never quite materialized. And so, there's been a feeling of indecision or a fear of making a decision because it's not going to live up to the fantasy, kind of thing. So we've had to mature out of that. We've had to mature out of, attachment styles and readiness to have something real that we commit to in the 3D that goes beyond that honeymoon phase where the real person sets in, after that 5-year, 7-year itch, right? So it's that long-term commitment, like making that decision and not getting caught up in indecision or always wondering like, am I making the right choice? Should I keep my options open? Forever exploring the options, or making impulsive emotional choices too fast that didn't result in anything of long-term value, right? Maybe the situation was that you were ready for something that was long-term and long-lasting and offered commitment, but because of the impulsive emotional choices that you made, you didn't make the right choice. See, because in the 7 of Cups, there's these different things that the cups offer, right? And some are the winds of chaos, and some are angels, and some are snakes, and some are, abundance and coins. Some of them, here's the kingdom. And there's the lady in red. So some of these are good choices and some of them are bad, and some of them are, elusive. And it's like, what is so you don't know sometimes if you're going to make a choice that's going to be destructive in the end. And, maybe it presented as something that it appeared to be, but wasn't. So you can look back and see where your choices, where your impulsivity and where your naivete has maybe held you back or costed you from being able to have the fulfillment and the stability and the longevity in the areas that you seek that in, like love and career. So finally, we're arriving at influence and the Chariot, which is like getting back to that naive hopefulness before this is Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, walking and unaware of the danger of the snake and unaware of the danger of the rose and the thorns. Like, they just see the roses, they don't see the thorns. And so what is life on earth in the material realm? It's bittersweet. It comes with toil. It comes with work, because we ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, rather than eating of the fruit of the knowledge of the tree of life, right? So we have to learn how to alchemize our life's bitterness into sweetness. And when we tasted that knowledge of good and evil, life's thorns pricked us, and we felt pain and suffering. And so we fell from the garden, and we had fear, and we had lack, and we had doubt, and we had guilt, and we had shame, and that just did not resonate with paradise anymore, right? On a vibrational level, we fell from grace. And so that caused us to become physicalized and take on that physical cloak. So every year during the high holidays, we've just culminated the last of the holiday of Sukkot this week, we celebrate the birth of Adam, the souls of all mankind, and we are focused on the myths and the legends around the story of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden during this time of year. So it's interesting that this week culminated in Sukkot, a day called Simchat Torah, which is like complete or happy Torah. And so every year we go through these Kabbalistic readings of the Torah in these certain organized portions through the year, and we do the journey of the Israelites like every year. And so at the end of every year, we are reading during Sukkot, at the end of every Jewish Hebrew year, we're reading the final portion of the Torah, and we're also simultaneously reading the first portion of the Torah. And that is the overlap of the endings and the beginnings, right? The beginnings and the completions. And so Bereshit, or Genesis, is the first portion of the Torah. We have here Adam and Eve, the Genesis, the first portion of Genesis. Well, the chariot here, it's interesting that this should come up, and the chariot is number 7, because the different prophets are also called chariots. Like, they're the bringers of these messages and the representations of these forces of God that are physicalized in human expression through humans. So, I think probably Moses was a chariot, Abraham was a chariot, Joseph or Jacob, I can't remember. I think it's Jacob, who was the keeper of the storehouse of Egypt. He's associated with the Sphirats, the Yesod of Yesod. So the chariot here, King David was the 7th chariot. I believe he was the 7th chariot, which is interesting because it was like he was maybe the last prophet or something like that before the Christ came, and Jesus was part of David's lineage. But King David wrote the Psalms and was the embodiment of the celebrated, beloved military king, and he loved God with all his heart, and he was flawed. He made mistakes. He wasn't perfect, but he wanted more than anything to be connected to the Creator. He wanted to learn how to be like the Creator and be emulate the Creator's ways in order to stay connected with the Creator. So that was his preoccupation. So that is the victory, right, that we learn in Simchat Torah, is that we, no matter what life circumstances are throwing at us, the bitter or the sweet, that we can be victorious, that we can be whole in our connection with staying connected to the Creator, and we can maintain our joy and our faith and our certainty. And that's what King David is all about, is about keeping that connection and that faith and that joy and that love of the Creator, even in his times of suffering, and even in times where things were happening to him that he didn't understand and that were difficult and challenging and sorrowful. just like the thorns of the rose, the bittersweetness of life. So we are victorious on the inside and on the outside. Thus, the positive and the negative horses representing the masculine and the feminine being our intrinsic connection to spirit, the Shina, the feminine aspect of the creator, and the masculine aspect of the creator, which is the physical representation. And so the chariot that David is associated with in that association that I'm talking about is with Malchut, which is the 3D, the material world, the earthly realm, the bride receiving the bridegroom, right? This is the physicalized material world, which in the Garden of Eden in paradise, that was the world just before this. Just on the other side of our physicalized world, there was like a non-physicalized paradise that was like the astral realm, like the dream world. And it was in its total state of perfection. It was like a light body realm. And when we fell from grace, that was heavy and dense, and we put on clothing, right? And we became flesh. And we were too heavy to stay in that upper elevated realm. And so we fell into a materialized state. And what I'm doing would make sense if you are thinking about the glyph of the tree of life. And you're thinking of the Sefirot, which is a whole nother thing to go into. So let's read, not that we actually really even need to. I wanted to quickly read the extremism card. A dramatic Penny Dreadful style illustration of a struggling couple, man and woman, fighting over the contents of a letter. The words have changed everything. A crow shrieks at the scene. The Mercury and Scorpio card describes a deep, penetrating thinker, someone both intuitive and profound, whose sharp insights into others' motivation direct the thoughts. Such personalities are widely persuasive in argument. Typically, Mercury Scorpions are said to be secretive and do not waste time talking unless they have something worthwhile to say. They command a great deal of respect and are endowed with a magnetic personality that claims many followers. The ability to go to an extreme opposite position in order to understand the whole possibility of an issue makes such people good investigators and researchers. It also makes them capable of drastic changes of philosophy or beliefs, which can leave others up in the air with the last swing of opinion. For Mercury Scorpions, the supreme challenge is to solve seemingly impossible problems. The challenge of the impossible is so necessary that often they generate mishaps in order to retrieve and overcome a situation. So that would be like self-sabotaging when you do something to disrupt a perfectly harmonious situation otherwise, when you create a problem that wasn't there just so that you have something to solve, maybe like totally unconsciously, maybe you don't realize you're doing it, but inevitably this is like your destructive pattern. Okay, let's see, where are we? It also makes It also makes them capable of drastic changes of philosophy or beliefs, which can leave others up in the air with the last swing of opinion. For Mercury Scorpios, the supreme challenge, is to solve seemingly impossible problems. The challenge of the impossible is so necessary that they often generate mishaps in order to retrieve and overcome a situation. People with this combination often display great interest in science and/or the occult. Understanding life's secrets, whether purely physical or more mystical, is important to them. There is also a love of intrigue that makes for good detective story writers or journalists, sleuths, and crime investigators. When this card is drawn, the questioner may face a total reprisal of his or her life philosophy to overcome a seemingly unsolvable situation. So events that surround this card could be a violent verbal outburst, news of a death, solving of a great problem, discussion of a deep life problem, a drastic change of opinion. Yeah, otherwise the lust or the influence card talks about a renewed inspiration and being in the company of others and like-minded individuals. So that is great. And then, yes, the lust card was literally talking about like being impulsive in romantic choices, but also choices of fashion. Like I have made a couple of fashionable impulse purchases this week, but it's all been like the impulse purchases happened because I got a ping to look for these rare items exactly at a certain moment. And these rare items all were supposed to go together to complete this one outfit. And today, while the other night, like randomly, like late at night, it was like something told me to like look for these high-waisted sequined bloomers, and they were there. It was crazy, and I hadn't looked for them recently, and they did not exist on the internet. And so today, I looked for these other this other piece of like specific color and specific lace that they needed to be these like bloomer things. And by golly, if I wasn't prompted on my walk in the forest today to look up these specific sorts of kind of bloomers, the specific sort of color, and I found the exact pair that I needed in the exact size that I needed, I'm pretty sure, and in the exact color and the exact specific type of lace. And I almost didn't get them, and I double checked, and like I don't know, I just decided to go ahead and do it. And when I went back later to like double check and like just look at that, like look at the listing, I had gotten the last pair on the internet, y'all, like of that size, of that color, like that is like sold out now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like sometimes seriously, like I haven't always had the greatest luck, but the creator and my angels make sure that I align with the things that are supposed to be in my wardrobe. They love the way I dress. It's so funny. They make sure I get these clothes. So let's see. Anything warm-hearted, pleasant, friendly nature. Let's see. Where is this lust card? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Hey. Ability to surround themselves with artistic and talented friends. Appearances are important to the Venus Arians. They take a great deal of trouble to look good, whether they see themselves on show or not. Let's see. Indicate one's need to assert oneself and yet do this with the utmost warmth and charm. So we were talking about like making an assertive choice in your love life. And let's see. Making good business and romantic contracts. That's positive experiences in love and money have been coming up this week in our readings. And let's see. Willful, hold on, I love this description. Okay, so someone with a Venus Aries combination of love and someone with the Venus Aries combination of love and self-will demands a great deal of personal attention and will compete in partnership matters with enormous enthusiasm, imbued with a healthy lust for love and life. People with this planet sign combination are impulsive in matters of relationships and good taste. So it's like impulsive shopping, I think, impulse shopping. Let's see. And let's see what or who Venus Arians choose. They are determined to get. These personality types are cheerful and positive and have great enthusiasm and sparkle. Their warm-hearted, pleasant, and friendly nature wins many loyal friends and guarantees loyalty in return. Socially, Venus Arians are comfortable with comfortable and competent with a manner that carries them successfully through most tricky situations. I feel like somewhere it was saying that they were like Oh yeah, it says, hold on. Uh, their enormous enthusiasm, willful, unstable, affectionate, and imbued with a healthy lust for life. Like, they're unstable. I just thought that was really funny. So yes, so that instability, that like lack of groundedness, like this is what we've matured beyond in order to now see like some success and some movement, and maybe even some influence in the realm of our experience and passions and expertise. All right, y'all, that's a lot to think about over the weekend, but I think that we're moving in positive directions of growth, evolution, and expansion. I will see you guys tomorrow for our Saturday night secret sermon, where we will be taking a look into the Gnostic Gospels for our Secret Teachings of Jesus episode. Ciao. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, then please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to be notified of when I drop content. Like the videos, comment, share them. Anything that you do helps these messages get out to other people who need them. So you watching a video and taking an action on it actually makes a positive difference in someone else's life.